Welcome back to another episode of Seahawk Central Sports. Our teams were all over the country this past week, and we can't wait to tell you about it.
With basketball wrapping up their regular seasons, spring sports are getting into full swing. We've got the updates on it all right here.
Our swim teams concluded their season with the CAA Championships this past week, hosted in Christiansburg, Virginia. UNCW was well represented as our teams held first place for the first 2 days of the tournament and second place for the final 2 days. Freshman Colbean Jugan brought home gold in the men's 1-meter dive, and so did Courtney Clausen for the women's 1-meter. Colbean Jugan was named Diver of the Year after the tournament. We'll look forward to keeping up with him for the rest of his diving career here at the Dub.
The men's and women's track and field teams kicked off their outdoor season this week, competing for the first time under new head coach Jeff Claves and capturing first place in 5 events on Saturday at the Bahamas House First Chance Meet in Florida. The freshman quartet of Taylon West, Marcus Threat, Langston Samples, and Josh Parks started the day off with a win in the men's 4x1 relay. John Lloyd opened his sophomore season with a win and a new PR of 50.75 meters in the men's javelin event. On the women's side, Summer Owens registered an all-time best in the women's 3K with a time of 10:27. Victoria Wimple is now 6th all-time at UNCW in the women's triple jump after jumping 38:08.75, while junior Sarah Timberlake cleared 5.7 in the women's high jump, also for the 6th best all-time. The teams will be on the road again this weekend as they head to Savannah State Relays.
Men's golf kicked off their spring season with the John Burns Intercollegiate February 20th through the 22nd. In order from the first day to the last, our boys finished with a tie for first place, 4th place, and a tie for 5th place. Oliva Pinto led the Swinging Hawks on the first day, shooting a solid 69, tying for first place overall. Pinto kept the tie for the first day through the second day of the tournament. On the third day of the tournament, senior Blake McShay kept the Seahawks in the top 10 by finishing 4 under par with a score of 68. Men's golf will be in Alabama next for the Auburn Intercollegiate. Women's golf also had a decent showing down in Greensboro, Georgia for the Reynolds Lake Oconee Collegiate Tournament this past weekend. Tying for 3rd on the first day and 5th on the final 2 days, the Lady Golfing Hawks were led by Rachel Mask and Tao Mai Wen, who finished the tournament in 7th place overall. Next up, the girls will host the River Landing Classic here in Wilmington, March 9th through the 10th.
Both the men's and women's tennis teams suffered losses this past week. The men's tennis team dropped their early lead on Florida Gulf Coast on Sunday, eventually losing 6-1. The Seahawks performed well in doubles play. Bruno Calla and Daniel Groom edged Florida Gulf Coast's Marcelo Tibet and Julian Montes 7-6, while Cole Grosch and Dylan Gooch cruised into a 6-2 decision over Felipe Ramirez and Felicia Saskaluskas to give the Seahawks a quick 1-0 advantage. The Seahawks then went on to suffer 6 straight losses in singles. The Seahawks will be on the road this weekend as they travel to Georgia State and Georgia Southern. The women's tennis team traveled to Wofford, where Celeste Matute, who was now advanced to 4-1 in singles play this season, and Rachel Martinson had the only 2 singles victories for the Seahawks in their 5-2 loss. With 4 consecutive losses, the Lady Hawks will look to turn things around when they return home to face George Washington on Sunday.
The beach volleyball team started up their season this weekend in a dual match against Coastal Carolina. The clubs will split their sets with the Seahawks taking the first, with the clincher coming from a sweep from Joan Marie Lewandowski and Ashley Thompson to take the first match 3-2. In the second match, despite jumping out to a 2-0 lead early on, the Seahawks just couldn't hold on as Coastal took the next 3 sets to win the second match, also by a score of 3-2. The Seahawks will be traveling down to Georgia this week for the Bears Beach Blast to meet with Mercer University in Chattanooga.
The reigning CAA champs took on Bowling Green in a doubleheader Saturday afternoon to start off the 2020 Hughes Brothers Challenge this past weekend. It was a stellar performance by Zarian Sharp, fanning 8 batters and pitching away a perfect game to the 7th inning, making it look too easy out there. On the offensive side, the redshirt sophomore Tanner Wells picked up 3 RBIs on 3 hits, adding another dub in the win column for the boys with a final score 5-2. The clubhouse wasn't done yet with Game 2 of their doubleheader going up against the Herd, Marshall University. Another strong output starting pitcher, Landon Roop, giving up 1 earned run and 7 strikeouts in 6 innings before attacking the bullpen. In the 4th inning, Kip Brandenburg had bases loaded on 2 outs and smacked the ball down the left field line, clearing the bases, adding to the score to the Seahawks, came out on top of the Herd 8-1. Seahawks looked to close it out again on Sunday afternoon against Marshall, sweeping the series. It was an offensive onslaught by Noah Bridges, Jack Groom, and Trevor Marsh, each collecting 3 hits and taking advantage of 10 wild pitches from Marshall's pitching staff. The Seahawks put up 6 of their 8 runs alone in the 3rd inning off of a 2-out rally. Adam Smith was able to close it out for the Seahawks, securing his 2nd save this season, winning 8-6. The reigning champs swept the series, increasing their record to a solid 6-2 for the start of the season. They look forward to visiting nationally ranked NC State with a 3-game winning streak. Good luck, boys.
Tournament season is on the horizon in the world of college basketball, and for interim coach Rob Burke, he looks to continue building his case to be the Seahawks head coach going forward. On Saturday, the Seahawks welcomed the College of Charleston in the Trask Coliseum, looking to complete their first season sweep since 2016. In what was a physical, high-energy first half, the Seahawks had a narrow 2-point lead thanks to sophomore Martin Linson's 10 points and our guys crushing the boards, hauling in 21 rebounds to Charleston's 14. On Saturday, 4 individuals were inducted into the UNCW Hall of Fame 2020 class and were honored at halftime of the men's basketball game. The inductees were Swim and Dive founder Dave Allen, longtime UNCW supporter Jim Ballantyne, men's basketball standout Brett Blizzard, and women's basketball icon Sharon McDowell. Congratulations to this talented quartet and all that they have brought to UNCW Athletics. UNCW will use the second half to pull away from the Cougars thanks to Linson's 2nd career double-double with 16 points and 13 rebounds, and junior guard Michael Kwaru with a team-high 17 points. On the other side, Charleston could hardly register any offense as they would shoot, hear this number, 5% from 3, going 1 of 21 from three-point land. The Seahawks would take the win 68-55. Sitting at 9-20, the men will play out the regular season at Trask Coliseum as they will welcome in Drexel in Delaware for the final games of the season before the CAA tournament.
The weather was warmer and the results were different on Saturday as the Seahawks bounced back, facing Brown for the first game of their doubleheader. The redshirt senior Rachel Willis ripped a 2-run dinger in left center, adding to the lead early and for her first home run of the season. Also, senior pitcher Riley Pate collected her 2nd win with her first shutout of the season with 6 strikeouts and only 2 hits to get the easy dub, 7-0. The Seahawks look to bring that momentum in their 2nd game of the doubleheader late Saturday afternoon playing George Washington University. They were able to keep the bats hot, putting up 6 runs alone in the 5th inning, but too many costly errors kept the Seahawks out of reach, losing 15-10 in a high-scoring shootout. Gabriella Hessenthaler and Janelle Gamish filled up the stat sheet with combined 6 hits, 5 runs scored, and also 5 RBIs from the 2 young sophomores. Lastly, Riley Pate and the Seahawks on Sunday afternoon faced Eastern Kentucky University to close out the softball classic, hoping to come out even for the weekend. Lastly, Riley Pate and the Seahawks on Sunday afternoon faced Eastern Kentucky University to close out the softball classic, hoping to come out even for the weekend. It was a defensive battle all the way through as senior Riley Pate put the K in Eastern Kentucky University as she put up 11 strikeouts, filling out the stat sheet and forcing extra innings. The Colonials put up a run on a sacrifice flyout to give them a 1-0 lead in the top of the 8th. The Seahawks had runners in scoring position with only 1 out, but senior Molly Pollock said she had enough and turned up the heat, striking out the next 2 batters to win the game. Let me just say this. Even though the Seahawks softball record is 2-11, they have incredible talent that could definitely turn things around later in the season. They look forward to hosting the Seahawks Softball Challenge as they continue their homestand this coming weekend.
A story for women's basketball this season has been their bad luck in close games. Our girls have gone 1 of 7 so far this season in games decided by 4 points or less. One of those losses came against Charleston, who the Seahawks welcomed in on Sunday. Now, needless to say, there was no close game here, as the Seahawks jumped on the Cougars early and often. The Seahawks dominated the paint as they would score 52 points from near the hoop. Senior guard Ayanna Vason led the scoring charge with a season-high 23 points, while fellow senior Lacey Suggs added 14 points of her own. Coach Karen Barefoot gets her 350th career win, and in a big way. Seahawks would win 74-50. The ladies will finish their home schedule this week as they will welcome in Northeastern and Hofstra.
That'll do it for us this week. Be sure to check in next Friday at 3 for more updates on spring sports on Facebook and YouTube at UNCW TealTV.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, remember to be real
And keep it teal. See you next week, Seahawks.